realize that there's,
You go to the
they were
Jasper
different,
Park.
which I was glad, because he was like, oh, mine was all about that.
No, we went
Yours
to- He would sit there in line forever. Yep. Okay, here we go. It's a little after 6 p.m. on the 15th day of October, the year of 2024. This will be the Buckley Special Study Session. Everybody should have their agenda in front of them. And it's looking like we are having budget presentations from administration, planning and building and public works. So without any ado, we will start with admin, clerk, and finance. Director, please.
Good evening. Yes, we're going to start with admin, clerk, finance, IT, and cover all those that it also covers, smaller departments. So Courtney's going to go through and do some highlights on the accomplishments and goals for next year and performance measurements, and then I'll talk about some of the numbers.
Yes, trying to divvy out the speaking tonight. So first off, just looking at the accomplishments, I want to start by saying that these accomplishments are all a reflection of the mayor's work, the council's work, and the department director's work, certainly not just my role. But together we maintained the city's organizational work plan and implemented performance measurements across departments. And if you turn to page 3, you get a snapshot of some of that work. I like to think of this as an opportunity to look at progress at a glance. Eventually, as we collect some more data throughout departments, we will be posting this information online via online dashboards and keeping it consistent in the budget. But right now, we don't have great comparables, but the longer we keep collecting data, the better they will become. Just a couple of other highlights. We launched the community newsletter, which we received really positive feedback on. That second edition will be coming out in November. If you have any ideas for content for this edition or future editions, please let us know. And then we did successfully lobby for and receive a 2024 appropriation for SR 410 improvements, as well as a grant, federal grant for those improvements. Looking at the city clerk, a lot of work was done this last year to improve records management and just general administrative processes. We have drafted an update to staff administrative policies. You'll start to review some of that as soon as our next council meeting. We've also updated some of our rental policies, special event permits. A lot of that work was done in the city clerk's office. Looking at finance, feels like this was forever ago, but we did complete early on this year. That's
like 7 months ago. But
that audit,
yeah.
and we will be starting our next audit as soon as we wrap up budget. So the 2022-2023 audit will begin this December.
Can I just say Merry Christmas? It's starting on December 23rd.
Yes. So,
No joke.
under the direction of the mayor and city council, we did successfully pass an EMS levy, which allowed for us to have some more stability in staffing for that department. And then we did propose and receive approval for the city's first biennial budget, which is what we are all currently reviewing. So again, you see your passport measurements, and then for anticipated key projects, just a couple of high-level highlights. We hope to, in the first quarter of next year, go back and revisit those 2023 council adopted goals and make sure that they all still make sense and that our priorities are consistent, so that then we can translate those priorities into the work plan that will govern the rest of the biennium. We hope to finalize our administrative policies for all City of Buckley employees. Again, this is throughout the biennium. And then for service program changes, which is part of that finance first bullet point, we do hope to invest in a new financial software to improve all of our efficiency and operations. I don't think that there's an employee who currently works for the City of Buckley that hasn't been in some way harmed by the current financial system. That might sound really harsh, but honestly, we would invite Vision to listen to that comment. They have been very difficult to work with. Their updates have caused problem after problem. People are not receiving their pay consistently, their benefits consistently. It's something that absorbs a lot of staff's time, and is, I think, caused our employees to have less faith than they should in our record keeping, which is not something we want. So we have so far demoed 3 different options. We hope to make a selection at the end of this year and then roll that out. Implementation for a new financial system compared to some of the others that we've seen this last year for software upgrades is more intensive. So realistically, it will start probably first quarter at the earliest of next year and won't actually complete until towards the end of next year or even early 2026. There's a lot that goes into it. So with that, I will turn it over to Sandy to go over some of the line items.
Can I ask a quick question about the software, the financing software? There's been some reporting in the local media, and it has to do with the city of Seattle, where they went to a new finance system called Workday, and it is overly impacted. So when you say that some of our city employees have been impacted by this Workday program that they did in the city of Seattle is caused the same type of things. Underpayments, I think it's the same kind of stuff. So are you saying that our city workers are being affected by what we currently have?
Yes, and no one more heavily than our finance team, who has to have weekly meetings with our with the Vision software company to discuss errors that we are finding as we run reports or payroll. And then they have to correct those errors and then teach us how to use a revised system, which typically generates additional errors. But on a monthly basis, the reports are coming off incorrect, where accruals aren't adding up correctly. We've had deposits get missed. So people are getting underpaid or overpaid in some situations, which means we have to retro checks or do an underpayment in the following month.
Yeah.
And this has just been in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
It's constant
With our current
with our
system?
current system. And so we're looking at 3 options. We've narrowed it down to 2 that we feel pretty confident in, that are more well-regarded, well-known, used by a lot of our neighbors. We are doing the reference checks, and making sure that compared to when we onboarded Vision, and I wasn't here, but my understanding is that it was a newer system. Some of our neighbors had it. It was a less expensive system. And we are looking for something that's not necessarily going to be the least expensive, but has been proven to work well. And that's our biggest priority.
Yeah, and customer service for sure is gonna be a key part when I continue checking with all the cities about not only just implementation, how did it go, but like, what's the ongoing? If you have a problem, can you get a hold of anybody? Can you get a hold of somebody that actually knows what they're talking about and stuff? And so the company, the people that own the company now aren't the same ones from when the city bought it. And it kind of went downhill, and then, another kind of company came in and bought them up called Triple View. And they've been trying to make improvements. I just don't feel like they're making the improvements in the right spot. They're not investing in people that can then help us, type of thing. So we rely on one person, and if we can't get a hold of her, we don't trust anybody else.
We cannot let our employees be shorted, and we cannot have our other employees investing time to fix.
Yeah.
So whatever this is crucial.
And And this is a little change of pace from, we've had vision for a long time.
Yeah,
And.
it never used to be this bad.
And in the past and prior. Administration, there wasn't a lot of transparency with all the trouble. It was just keep fighting it.
Mm.
And I know I've heard enough in the last 3 years that. They come back to you and say, yeah, that's the same problem. We've had that over here and over here and over here, but we don't have a fix for it.
Right.
So.
Or they didn't bother to tell us. They just, that was one of our payroll updates was something went wrong and they were like, oh yeah, we pushed an update out and that's what caused the problem. And then I'm like, well, why didn't you test the update? They're like, well, we did, but we didn't test it with a city that does a mid-month draw like we do for our employees. And that was the problem. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you test it in all scenarios before you just push it out and
So
don't
at
even
least
tell
let
us?
us know you're going to.
Right, or in the end that they said, well, we noticed another city had the same issue you did. But we didn't know exactly what the cause was, and I'm like, even if you don't know what the cause is, put in just a overarching like, hey, anybody running payroll this week, just beware. Please check for blah, 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 right? Like, even if you don't know what's causing it, just let them know that there's something, because it's a big problem and. The communication isn't very good.
Since I asked the question in the middle of the process, does anybody else have a question on this topic? Okay, very good, thank you.
Mhm. Yes, so. Page 6 of the packet, includes the finance and admin department. Not a lot of changes there. That encompasses all of the finance staff and Courtney as well. And the clerk for Triva. And so it's kind of an all-encompassing department, but mostly it's salaries. We do pay a few things out of there that are citywide, like postage. Our legal, so a couple of the things that are new on here that I've rearranged based on either need by bars, codes from the state auditors, or necessity. Is that the prosecution and the public defender used to be in the executive budget where the mayor's salary and supplies and services are. But it's really legal services and it really by bars coding, when I double checked, it's supposed to be in the legal coding. So I'm gonna put all the legal items together. We have our safety and wellness type programs for the city programs. The city employee recognition supplies, so that's covering our 2 times a year city employee recognition. And that'll be part of the administrative policies that are coming forward as well to document that. Personnel services covers some of the HR for advertising and such for positions. I included social services on here just because it doesn't really have another home. It's the things that we're required to pay for the county out of some of the revenue we receive out of the courts related to either drugs or DUI or that type of thing. We pay a portion back to the county for substance abuse services. And then new this year will be a non-departmental division. And so Erin had mentioned this a little bit in her area as well, because a few things got pulled out of her area. So citywide insurance used to be in the facilities department, but that skewed the budget so much because it's almost $500,000. It's close to 500,000. So you couldn't really see what the true facilities cost was for maintaining buildings because you had this big chunk in there for insurance. So that's now in non-departmental. Non-departmental is kind of as it sounds, anything that doesn't fit specifically to a department and usually covers things that are citywide. So the citywide insurance, I did move our postage down here because it wasn't ours. So I did move the postage down there. The DV advocate doesn't really belong to a department either. Rentals and leases, the 43,000 is our lease of the agricultural land. It also was in parks maintenance. So that was skewing the parks maintenance budget by having that large amount in there. The miscellaneous is property tax. We do pay some property tax. It's the noxious weed fees really. And then dues and subscriptions citywide. So things like AWC or PCRC and those things that cover a citywide type dues and membership. So that's kind of new. I pulled those out of the other departments so that those other departments could look more accurate. Question?
Yeah, I see the DV advocate in both social services and non-departmental. Was that correct or?
That one,
Oh, yeah, it's twice.
I don't know why that's. Sorry, I will fix that. I don't know why that ended up on that line.
No worries.
Which one?
I think it's, I think the 2,000 under social services, wondering if that is actually just, I got the title on that wrong. There was something else that's
Oh,
supposed to
okay.
be there, so
Got it.
I think the title's wrong. So I'll fix that, but thank you for finding it. I will fix that.
Other questions on the admin clerk finance IT presentation? Councilmember Bender online.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Director Hines.
Were you in the right team? Oh, okay. No.
Oh,
IT.
Councilmember Anderson, are you online?
No.
No, no, she was excused. Well, she's not here.
Just the software. That's the biggest.
Looking at the back page, IT's budget, you'll see that the impact of the new financial software is under the 2025 line item. We'll also say that starting in 2024, we attempted to consolidate all IT expenses, which hadn't been done previously. So in the past, each different department would have their individual subscriptions included in their individual departments for subscriptions and software. We are trying to get them all together so that the council has a true idea of how much we're spending cumulatively on software subscriptions rather than piecemealing it out. So that is also reflected in the 2024 projected as well as moving forward into 2025 and 2026. This is the first year that we're getting a really good grasp on the true cost of what we're spending on software.
Any questions on that? Well, thank you, Director Hines. So next, moving on, will be planning and building department, and then I think we'll be contiguous into C with Public Works with Director Banks.
Change hats.
Yeah. We'll start with the small department, planning and building. Some of our 2024 accomplishments, most of you already know, we've been working on the 2024 comprehensive plan update. That's taken quite a bit of time, both from our consultants and our in-house senior engineer and Courtney. And then we've supported efforts by participating in the growth management coordinating meetings. In the permitting and inspections, we've completed a cost recovery plan and recommended adjusted fees to ensure financial stability. Worked with the finance team to establish new processes for billing for permit review. We continue to amend the processes for approval of land use projects to streamline review and approval, reduce developer cost and increase efficiency. We have purchased and have not yet started the implementation of Civic Plus community development software. And mainly that is because we received a grant for implementation and that money is delayed. So we're kind of dragging our feet a bit until that grant, we start to see that grant money to start implementation, but we're ready. I expect that to start in the first part of next year. So, and we revised the department webpage. Some key anticipated projects for 25 and 26 is in the long range planning category, the climate change chapter update, which is part of the comp plan. Start to work on the shoreline master plan update, amendments to the developer regulations, review and update design review criteria. On the permitting side, we'll review applications for construction and land use projects, more of the same of what we've been doing, provide zoning and land use review, manage public notifications for construction projects, continue our digital archiving project, continue to revise our forms and checklist, and then implement the Civic Plus 311 public service request or work management system. As far as the line items go in here, there's not a lot of change. There's an increase on the building to the professional services. That's due to our building inspections, which we use a consultant to do those inspections, and we're expecting more homes to be built next year than we did this year. So you'll see a rise in that. And then in the planning side, the professional services land use, that's the pass through. A lot of that's pass through billing for like Grant Osborne review, site plan review for private projects, site plan or construction inspections for these housing plats and stuff. A lot of that's passed through. And then the regular professional service line items is more of the consulting. We expect to see an uptick in some of that in 25 and 26 due to the climate change update and the shoreline master plan. Those are pretty much the only line items that are really showing significant increases to them. Any questions regarding that?
Let's have a quick question, or it's just a verification question that this, climate change chapter update, which we have to budget so much for, this is a state mandate. State of Washington mandate. Thank you very much.
Chris, is the digital continue our digital archiving project? Is that like just putting everything, so it's not paper, like
So right, yes, putting everything in digital form.
instead of having like files?
Yeah,
Okay,
now we require people to submit or, yeah,
okay,
developers and stuff to submit electronically
Okay.
and paper, but prior to this year, it was all paper.
Okay.
So what that means right now is we're taking an iPad and we're scanning documents in.
got it, okay.
Hopefully moving into next year, we've budgeted in the IT section for a
the
laser feature.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
Which we got the grant for.
Yep.
got it.
So that will streamline a little.
Any more questions on that slice of the pie before we move into the greater Department of Public Works?
Do you, what do you guys want me to read all of this or just pick a few? It's
Every word.
every
single
I'm
word.
happy to.
I would,
And translate it, please.
as I chair this meeting, I would prefer that you would highlight.
Highlight.
Okay.
And if my colleagues would like to override me.
Highlight.
Well, what I'll do is I'll go through kind of the few highlights of the 24 operations, few highlights of the capital projects for 24 and moving into 25. Capital will refer to these tables here. Because a lot of these projects, it's redundant. A lot of these projects consist, I mean, they play into water, sewer, storm, so those are listed several times and you don't need to hear me repeat myself, so. Okay, 2024 water system accomplishments. We annually clean the sand filter. We operate, maintain the water supply facilities on a daily basis. We've collected 768 chlorine residual samples to date and over 200 water quality samples. And have installed 304 automatic read meters. For the capital and the water, we did our fence relocation at the wastewater treatment plant. Grant Osborne's did the design of Spruce Street, which I should be seeing shortly. I can share that with everybody. It's 90% complete. We replaced 300 linear feeder water main on Main Street and we purchased an additional 250 automatic read meters. We plan to do more of the same stuff in operations for 2025 and 2026. Pretty much the same stuff over.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the automated meters
Mhm.
on any new homes, are you putting the
We re-
automated ones in?
Yep, we
Okay.
require the developers to purchase and install them,
Okay,
or not install them, but purchase them and then we'll install them.
okay.
So they're paying their way on those.
On the topic of the automatic meters. I've had one and when they were installed, it was on the west side of town. And my water bill's never been more consistent. Be read, whether it's hot and we're watering, it is I think people are gonna be absolutely thrilled when these are installed.
Well, the meters that we are replacing are 25 years old,
Yes.
so. Anything else in there, in that water section? Water. Excuse me, where did I leave off?
Sewer.
Sewer. 2024 sewer. We have our new NPDS permit that we've started to implement. Jim Doty has down at the wastewater treatment plant. We perform daily bar screen cleanings on Collins Road. They're performing daily inspections and checks and sampling at the wastewater treatment plant. They rebuilt 2 basin mixers. And then you see this implementing Civic Plus public service request software that doesn't pertain necessarily to the wastewater treatment plant. That's more of the sewer collection side. Capital projects in 2024, the fence relocation down at the wastewater treatment project was done. The outfall study is being performed as we speak. Operationally, they're for 25 and 26 in the sewer. We need to rebuild a couple aerators in the basins. We need to assist in an INI study that you'll see on the capital improvement project list. Operate and maintain the sewer lift station.
Good question.
Yep.
What is an INI study?
That's where basically rainwater or groundwater infiltrates into the sewer lines and goes to the treatment plant, and we treat that water that we don't want to treat. We would rather keep the stormwater out of the sewer lines and only treat the sewage water.
Okay.
Water.
We hit back in the Blanusa era, there was a lot of INI money spent. And we wound up trying to fix this problem. We've come a long way, but there's still more to do. Basically, the water off your roof goes to the downspouts and is tied into the sewer when it shouldn't be.
No, it should be the stormwater.
Yeah, and that increases, so we watch the inflows to the sewer treatment plant spike when the rains come. And that's shouldn't be happening.
We can go into neighborhoods and smoke test manholes and stick a blower with basically a smoke bomb on there and blow the smoke up these lines
And
and
see where it comes up.
yeah, it'll come up in people's downspouts and
Yeah.
so their gutters are going into the sewer,
It tells you then.
Yeah.
Yes.
which is a double-edged sword because we don't want to treat that water, but it also keeps our conveyance lines clean.
Yeah.
So, or
A
cleaner,
little bit is, but
a little bit, but a lot's not very good.
Doesn't the Department of Ecology require you to do an INI study?
Yes, they don't like the INI.
yeah, and this has been going on for a long time. People just either didn't know or purposefully hooked the lines in, so they didn't have to run another line to the street or whatever.
So wouldn't that be a contractor's fault or based on a permit given by the city?
We have an inspection now to eliminate that, but for 100 years of whatever's gone on and
Prior to that, they-
properties have changed hands 50 times and we can't, it's hard to go, you guys need to fix this, but it's gonna cost you
Yeah.
10 grand or whatever, so we're kind
Or
of
old
stuck.
sewer mains are sections of 3-foot sections of concrete pipe that are just butt together,
Yeah,
not
so-
bell and spigot, so everything you just can't.
Water runs
Yeah.
in and that would, yeah.
So now we're gonna this study will try to delineate
That,
both of these items.
Yep.
Storm and sewer.
yep, and that'll play into future projects, replacement projects of those lines.
See us.
It's harder to get the smoke to come out through the
Ground.
soil.
Us working men that know this stuff, I need to know this stuff. So, perfect. I understand.
Yeah, if we see smoke coming out of your gutters, we know it wasn't your fault.
Yes. Yeah.
Stormwater. 2024 operational accomplishments. We do these things this is a new one. We've did 40 inspections, business source control inspections. We performed our annual maintenance on our city detention ponds. Perform maintenance and inspections, not so much maintenance, but inspections on the 24 private ponds and ensure that they're getting the maintenance needed. We finished our inspection and maintenance requirements for the CBs within the 2-year DOE cycle. There's that Civic Plus request and work order management software again. We finished the Monday Lost Road storm improvements, which was the culverts underneath SR 410 and then across Hinkleman. The Hinkleman Road storm improvements. Bevelo is under construction right now. operationally for 25 and 26, we need to continue to inspect 20% of the businesses. For stormwater management best practices, we'll adopt our 25-26 stormwater management plan. We are required to clean and inspect, over 800 catch basins. We'll do our pond maintenance as usual. And then here's another software thing. Right now, we manage a lot of our maintenance task regarding the stormwater system through an iPad program that was created by Grant Osborne. They are no longer going to provide that service to us. So we are going to purchase and implement the NPDS Pro software, which is catered, in my opinion, we've sat through demos and it's a lot better tracking system than what we're currently using. Plan to pay for that annually through our stormwater capacity grant. So it shouldn't be any cost out of the city budget. Moving into streets, for 24, we painted crosswalks and curbs, collected 100 tons of street sweepings. We developed our 6-year transportation improvement plan. We partnered with White River School District to install the pedestrian crossing at Park Ave. Installed our flashing stop signs at A and Main. There's the Civic Plus. As far as 2024 capital projects, we are in the middle of a sidewalk and ADA transition plan that's not complete. That'll identify missing links of sidewalks, degraded sidewalks, and give us a chance to compete for funding through the Complete Streets program for sidewalks. We did the Main Street ped crossing, Division Street road improvements. I knew better than to bring that Main Street ped crossing up.
You're gonna leave it out.
We heard much of anything on that lately?
No.
I think it
It's
was
toned
a
down.
big pushback right out
Yeah.
of the gate, and then I think it's been pretty quiet. So,
I appreciated the gentleman who mentioned what the style was, and there was a specific name for it. So that when you get into that space, you have to look to the oncoming traffic to get over. And then I looked it up, I mean, he's exactly right. And, you know, I'm not an engineer, it is what it is, right? It forces you to look, so it's helpful for the person to make a decision as much as creating a
It's
safety.
doing what it's designed to do.
Yes.
It's hard to get a tandem bike through there.
We have a whole bunch of those.
Just kidding.
We do.
Point term.
Yeah.
Chris, can I ask about the sidewalk transition, the ADA sidewalk
Yeah.
plan? Is that, so that's throughout what, the whole city? Is that,
The whole
and then
city.
it'll be like prioritized, like
It-
how it used to be, like when I'd see like the spray paint of like the worst parts of the site, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll be similar to that, but it'll
Okay.
be on a map.
Okay,
And it'll identify where we have ADA ramps at intersections where we don't. Missing links of sidewalks. It'll prioritize the sidewalks that are most important to fix right
Okay.
away versus lesser, yeah.
okay.
So sidewalks around schools, obviously.
Sidewalks attaching newer
Yes.
development into the
The
current
current,
versus a road that doesn't have any new houses
Okay.
or
Alright.
any changes.
What's the timeline to complete that, and what was the name of the funding that qualifies?
it's council just adopted the Complete Streets ordinance. So that's the ordinance that allows us to apply for that type of funding through TIB.
And we'll also be using some of our 102 impact fee dollars to help fund some of the sidewalk improvements. So it helps us identify those missing links.
And I will say that anybody who, I know my colleague over here walks and I walk, and anybody, the existing west side and downtown neighborhoods that have these sidewalks, we all know, we've seen them. Some of them have not been improved in 70 years. I mean, it is what it is.
Mhm.
And then. So this is gonna help if we get this, that the ordinance is passed and then we could get this grant. And then obviously you said there'd be a map and you prioritize by need. I think that's great.
And you guys will see the plan once it's finished, so.
And Chris touched on the Spruce Street, that's at 90% completion. That was something that I asked to kind of push forward on a year ago or whatever, because of Perkins Prairie and those folks using the road instead of the lack thereof sidewalk.
Yes.
We just give them an easy path. We need them
Yes.
out of the roadway, especially
Yes.
on that horrible corner
Yep.
there, so. So we pushed that ahead of this before we got to this point, but this will just expand that and say,
Yeah,
hey,
that'll be constructed next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully out to bid in January, February. As far as equipment request, Vector truck purchase of $700,000, that doesn't mean that we have to spend $700,000. We can look at used ones, we can look at, you know,
Floor model?
floor model. We have a floor model right now.
we have the burden victim.
Yeah. And then tentatively, potentially a street sweeper.
Oh,
I would, right now we're contracting out. They've been street sweeping through the summer. Every other week, we just bumped them up to every week because of the leaves.
mhm.
I'm just kind of collecting data on what that cost. I'd like to see it. Keep using them through the rest of this year and into the mid part of next year to see, you know, one, cost, and two, the level of service that they can provide. Is it to our standard or not? So I'd like to propose talking about the purchase of a street sweeper probably later into 2025. The vac truck is a very important tool that's needed. I talked to Brandon and Kenny, and you can use that. It's to suck catch basins. It's to clean sewer manholes. It's to vac out water leaks. It's to vac around power and phone. It's to jet sewer lines, storm drain lines. I mean, you just use it everywhere. So I think that's a little higher priority to me. Open to hearing if there's different priorities for others, but
And Chris, the current schedule of the street sweeper is not on garbage days, correct?
it's not, it's on Tuesdays. We have swept on 3 Thursdays. I wish I would have
Okay.
brought the spreadsheet that's tracking the cost and the days that they come.
Okay.
2 of the Thursdays, one was we came in before the Thursday before Memorial Day because we brush cut the highway
Okay.
and we want that swept. And then before log show, Thursday before log show. And then there was one when they didn't have anybody to send on a Tuesday and we just kind of slipped and had them come on a Thursday.
Okay.
So, but yes, no, we would try to keep them away from garbage days.
Okay.
Is that all of it? I have a couple of things.
Sure.
To ask. Private pond maintenance,
Yeah.
we identify and then we notify that.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yep.
And then they need to,
they need to maintain.
Right.
And if they don't maintain, technically, we can go maintain and bill them.
So they have to submit like paperwork to show you that they've maintained it?
We
Or
could,
they-
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Is the one in my neighborhood private?
that is city owned.
So is the city supposed to maintain it?
Yes,
Well, I know.
we.
The neighbors have mowed and weed eat and, you know, that kind
Yeah.
of thing in the past, so
That's been there a long time. We've tried to go in and maintain it and we've been
shoot away.
politely kicked out of there.
We'll take care of it.
Oh.
We'll take care of it.
oh, well, I'll talk to those neighbors
You
because.
Feel free to keep mowing away.
Yeah. Saving the city a few bucks.
Well, but I
The-
think that there's one neighbor that sometimes parks something in there.
Oh, really?
And I didn't know if that was.
What is it?
Is it a Vector truck?
Yeah.
No, like the old school bus.
probably should not be parked in our retention pond.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen water in that pond. Have you?
No,
It's just pure sand out there.
we had goats in there at
Yeah.
one time. I don't know where they came from.
Oh, that was
but
this, we had
goats.
goats. That was, the city may have had
So
goats
it's a
in there.
pond, but there's no water?
There's no water.
It's therefore the water should. have
Well,
never come.
because it's, there's so much sand, because there's a bench down there, the water just wicks through the sand. So no-
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have, we have good soil for.
Yeah.
Yep.
For a number of
So is it fair to say that with all of the private ponds that were referenced, that the city has an agreement with the private entity,
Most of them.
most of
Yep.
them? I'm aware of one
Mhm.
on the west side that we had addressed last year. I assume, and when we just heard that where my colleague lives at, that there's never been any water in there. Where they have to put them in, obviously, because we've removed it, make it impervious. So we have to have a space for that to drain. So any place that is private, mostly there's an agreement with the private entity and the city.
Mhm.
The HOA or what have you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if that's all, my other thing, just for my own knowledge and others too, this is just something that I've seen. And I don't think we have a process in place, but I wanted to ask you this, it sort of slips my mind 10 times a year, I think. We have certain homeowners that like to blow their grass clippings into the street.
Of course we do.
We see
And
that.
of course, I don't know if
Oh, yeah,
we have a
all the
way
time.
to kind of educate them. That's plugging up the catch basin faster than we can clean them, because we, on that 5-year cycle, it's just a little, there's one that's particularly close to City Hall that
There's an
I see
idea.
all the time, like, what are we doing here? Why are you doing that? But
Yeah.
mostly because people don't know. They don't, they
They
just,
don't.
they
I have
think the street
Lots
They're
of
is
leaves.
gonna get it.
Neighbors that.
Yeah, this isn't leaves, this is their grass.
Their grass,
I
yes.
mean, anyway,
Huh.
just something we can hopefully educate, because I mean, most people just
We
simply
need to
don't
look at
know
the
that
code.
that's the grass is,
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
rinses down, it goes to the catch basin, it
Right
fills
there.
that.
And it raises.
Well, we can do
the-
public.
Yeah, it'll just fill that,
Yes, correct.
the catch
Yeah.
portion, and then it,
We'll put something in our community newsletter.
Great idea.
just
Looking for content.
one of those.
So you can let people know, I mean, it's okay to trim your parking strip and to blow it out there, but then you need to go grab your broom and your
Pick it
little
up.
thing and get it up.
Oh.
And when the trees are falling in your neighborhood, or the leaves are falling in your neighborhood, and everybody has them, why don't you just get out there and clean out the catch basin area so the road's not flooding and it's percolating up?
Yep.
Just,
Years ago, we used to have people take their motor oil and from their car and dump it down because they didn't know where it was going.
I know.
Down to the river.
I'll get in trouble for that one.
I
So
know.
we just have, we're getting better.
Yeah.
It's just a long process.
Recently, I did see someone that was dumping their vacuum
Cleaner.
cleaner
Or shop
into,
vac.
into a catch.
No.
Call me if you see that, please.
I can tell you exactly who it is.
I
They-
don't need to know right now, but if you see it.
Their social security number.
Everybody has a trash can. Put it in your trash can.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
I've seen.
There's some straight-
Their camp trailers.
yeah, oh, yeah. In the store, in the, yeah, into the storm drain.
You can't chase everything. I mean,
Instead of running up to the
So many ordinances out this country.
Did I go and start videoing them? So text it to Chris.
This is what was that,
Evidence.
Christmas vacation or that?
yes.
Another city.
Another city.
No, well, seriously.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Okay.
move along.
Okay.
Yes,
Budget.
So I think we're ready to discuss 25-26 capital projects.
right.
We'll start with 2025. You see West Mason, Natchez to Hinkleman project. In Fund 102, we have applied for a TIB grant to basically overlay that road. Between Hinkleman Extension and Natchez. If we don't get TIB money for that, we won't do the project.
Oh.
Spruce Street, we've kind of touched on that already. That's sewer replacement, water replacement, stormwater upgrades on Spruce Street from Mason to Main. to include a new street widening, curb, gutter, sidewalk. Courtney touched on the 410 corridor study, I believe, earlier. The comprehensive safety action plan grant for,
That's also 410.
that's also the 410. City Hall, that's going on right now. I'm not quite sure the youth center repairs on a
How much is it for?
310
10,000.
grand.
That's their HVAC.
Oh, okay. Miller Park construction. It'll carry over. Well, that's the actual park, not the Bedloe Street improvements. White River property access gate. This is a gate that needs to be replaced that goes out to our wastewater treatment plant outfall, which is just north. It's off of Highway 410, just north of the Flume Bridge on the west side. There's an old chain link
Yeah.
gate. Just miscellaneous mechanical replacements at the wastewater treatment plant, skate upgrade at the wastewater treatment plant. The I&I study that we talked about earlier. A decant facility study comes out of Streets and Storm. What this is where we dump our street sweepings and our Vector truck debris from sucking catch basins out. We are technically required to have those undercover these bays, and ours are in the wide open. So we're doing a study as part of a larger project down at the wastewater treatment plant to upgrade that decant facility.
Is that where it's at currently, is down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because we used to do it over here by the cemetery.
Yeah, like right now when our sweeping is 95% leaves, we take those to the cemetery because we don't want to pay to get rid of leaves.
Yeah.
But the rest of the year, that's where all our street sweepings go, and they go and all the water drains out of them, and then you scoop them up and you haul them in, waste haul them.
If we could situate it so that any drainage from said decant facility goes into the sewer treatment facility.
That's what it does. It currently
Yeah.
does.
So
Yeah.
What's the point of having it covered?
I
mean,
because-
Water?
Or water.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, yeah.
It's-
But at least it's not going somewhere you don't want it to go.
Yeah.
Treating it no matter what comes through it.
Yeah, the other part of this is it goes into into a big underground vault that filters. And the extra rainwater all winter long, it washes the fines down into that filter, and we've spent the last 2 years, we spent about 10 grand getting that sucked out.
Mm.
So over time, it's just gonna take its toll, but
So the solids at the decant facility get hauled out.
Yep.
You know, like a big old dump truck.
we put them in our dump truck and haul them to Puyallup. And then the liquids go through the wastewater treatment
Yes,
plant.
yes.
Yeah.
Does that go electricals contaminated or just garbage?
Most of the time it's just, no, the landfill.
It goes to the
Yeah.
landfill, like at garbage price?
Yeah,
Yeah, because there's everything under the sun, blood,
Yeah.
antifreeze, motor oil, everything's in there.
Yeah.
And those-
Oh.
yeah, it's gross.
Like the petri dish.
Yeah. If anybody wants a tour.
No.
Kinda curious.
Electric gate install. This has kind of been spurred by our freelance reporters that we can't stop from keeping, coming into the yard at both the wastewater treatment plant and the public works. They can just walk in, they record everything. We would like to put an electric gate in so that when guys go in and out, that's secured, and anybody that comes into the public works has to go through the front door, so we know who's on site. Same thing at the wastewater treatment plant. Long-term telemetry design, that's telemetry upgrades at our well sites. We're gonna continue to transmission main project segments. Continue to try to seek funding to replace more segments of our water transmission main. There's a couple miscellaneous transmission main access road repair. A lot of that's just rock and cleaning sumps. And a pre-design report for our water treatment plant expansion. That's a carryover from 2024. We just didn't get to it. The Natchez well study is the same carryover. Reservoir siting study is a carryover. The water treatment plant, caustic soda injection, that is going to be in by April of 2025. That's at the wastewater or at the water treatment plant. It's to control pH from 3 of our wells that before the water gets into the finished water reservoir. We want to purchase another $100,000 worth of automatic meters, stormwater rate study, and then the design part of the Natchez Street biofilter. This is part of our SMAP. SMAP. So that's the design for a project in 2026.
What's the mag tank design?
Oh, did I skip that? The mag tank design, yeah, it is a big one. It's I don't know, man, you probably weren't involved, but for our new NPDES permit at the wastewater treatment plant, we have to treat for phosphorus and control the pH of our outfall into the river at certain times of the year. And the mag helps control that.
It's magnesium, right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yep, it helps control the pH.
Mhm.
So we're required by DOE to do this.
To do that.
Yep.
Without the unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
State.
2026 capital improvement projects will be the construction of Miller Park. There you see that wastewater treatment plant supplies and mechanical replacements. That's miscellaneous. Decant facility design. I don't know why that's on 25 and 26. I thought that,
25, the design.
yes, that's right. And then the construction will be in a, yes.
27, 8, 9.
Yeah, 10, 30. Wastewater treatment plant facility plan. This is a plan that, as going through this comp plan process and projecting growth targets, you probably have heard us say that the capacity of our wastewater treatment plant will go up to roughly a population of 10,000 people. Our projected growth target for the comp plan now is what, 8,400. So DOE requires basically when you hit 80% of that capacity of your treatment plant, that you start studying to expand so that you never get behind the 8 ball for future development after you hit that 10,000 population. So that's what that study's looking at now. It's a plan for the future.
I find that a little bit ironic. And it makes perfect sense. In a perfect world, at the same time, the state of Washington will not let a school district go out for a bond to construct a new school. Just with, except for the exact population or the amount of kids, despite the fact that they're building Perkins Prairie, all the developments and the ones that were legally in the process, going through the process to be approved.
Mhm.
And then when said school opens,
They're already-
it's over capacity. So what they want on this is right-minded. What they do want another is
Yeah.
wrong-minded.
Polar opposite.
Yes.
Trail well upgrades, that's to upgrade a lot of our computer systems or computer system at the trail well. It was built in 2015 already, and those computers only last so long, and the SCADA systems only last so long. The long-term telemetry construction, which is kind of a more holistic telemetry program for all the wells to speak to each other. Well alarms, chlorine alarms, that's what that stuff's monitoring. Copper wind water valve replacements. We have some valves that do not open and close in copper wind. We can still isolate areas, but there's quite a few valves in there that are just, I don't know if they're old cast iron shafts in the valves and they've rusted and we just can't get them open, but we need to go in and replace some of those. Transmission main road repair, that's kind of standard every year stuff. In 2026, another 100,000 towards the meters. A Street to A Street, Main Street to River. We are gonna apply for a TIB grant to do that. And also replace the water main. If we don't get a TIB grant for that, we most likely won't be doing it. Main Street, A Street to Spruce is another one that will apply in 2025 for a TIB grant. That'll be that complete streets program that will apply through for that, and that will replace water and redo the streets and most likely sidewalks from A Street to Spruce.
Is there a way to put a placeholder in or a marker? Or, I mean, this is right in your wheelhouse. It'll be in the back of your mind. That when we do that, when we get especially that section from Main Street, on Main Street from A to Spruce, that we take some of the camber out of the road.
Already, I think we discussed that in the committee meeting. There's old concrete panels that we need to plan and budget for to take out.
Okay.
That's why that's like that. If you notice in each lane, there's longitudinal cracks up Main Street. The center of that is those old concrete panels.
Yeah.
That's why it's so high. So we should be able to take those out and take it down.
If we're doing water sewer, that's.
Yeah, we might as well do it, but it won't be cheap. And it's reflected in this price. So, 2026 will be construction of the Natchez biofilters. That's the SMAP. These are filters that filter all the stormwater from the older part of town and discharge into Wickersham Basin. So we need to filter that water before it's discharged into Wickersham Basin. And then, the storm trunk line replacement from Collins Road to Packard, which is in Glacier Meadows. So it runs behind Copper, between Copperwind and, yeah. There's a big trunk line in there. I believe most of this is design. That's not construction. So that'll be designed in 26.
What's a trunk line?
Great. It's a big conveyance
Oh,
line. It's
okay.
not a little,
The trunk of a tree instead of the branches, just the main line.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay.
Any questions on that?
Councilmember Bender.
Does it run Collins through like Whitmore Way?
Runs kind of through, no, it runs kind of by Heather Lane.
Oh,
Between
further,
yeah.
okay.
We don't want a backyards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else to Director Banks? Thank you, sir.
Any questions on, do you want me to go through the line items?
Oh, I thought we were done.
There, I'll just touch on
Yeah, sure,
on the
absolutely.
major. So in 101, you'll see, it got missed, but under repairs and maintenance, it says there's a dash line for nothing for 25 and a dash line for nothing for 26. That actually is supposed to be 72,000 in 25 and 7,500 in 26. And what that is next year we need to street stripe all the center lines, fog lines, bike lanes. And that's the quote that we've received to do the whole city. We haven't done it in 2 years. We usually do it every other year. So that's what that is. And then it'll go back down to the 7,500 in 26.
So we need to add that 72,000.
Yep.
This will be back and this will be updated.
Yeah. And Sandy and I have already spoke about it, and yeah. And I think that's the one glaring thing in the 101. The supplies in 402. You'll see it jumped up significantly. That's the pass through of these water meters. So Spiketon Road, Platte, Blueberry Farms, they purchase those water meters from us. We go install them. So we buy them, they purchase them. It's just kind of a pass through, money going around in a circle. The water treatment plant, you've seen an increase to 40,000. The price of sodium hydroxide's going up, chlorine's going up. So it's just everyday stuff. Repair and maintenance is a bit of an increase. We'd like to enter into a critical generator service agreement with Cummins to service our wastewater treatment plant generator. Our spiked and lift station generator, the critical generators, the police station, Elk Heights booster station, all our critical generators.
Do we have a new one coming for City Hall?
We kept the, no,
We
we
kept
kept
the
the
old
old
one.
one
Okay,
because the critical generators, like for the police department, run independently and there's nothing really critical
that's City.
at City
Mhm.
Hall. I mean, you might have staff that can't work, but we don't have anything life safety
Right.
that would be.
For these standby generators.
Yes.
that Automatically kick in.
Yeah.
With the
when-
wells and.
Yeah, so we lose power at the wastewater treatment plant. The treatment plant still has to operate.
Yes, oh, yeah.
So we need to make sure that that thing needs to be serviced by the professionals.
So nobody's
So-
have to physically get up out of bed, go down there and yank a cord to,
No, these come on. Yep,
yes.
and they're tested weekly.
Whereas
So-
at City Hall, our servers and our network would be down. So a lot of our, essential services might be under, but not life safety measures or essential utility measures.
We don't want
We'll have a
anybody in their
We'll have a generator,
bathtub
yeah.
all of a sudden. Like, what is going on?
Gross.
Good situation. Get crap
Found
out
out
of
there was
me.
blood and all sorts of.
Under the 402-535, which is the sewer, you'll see the same thing in the supplies, the chemical supplies for the wastewater treatment plant. Those
Mm.
supplies just keep going, those chemicals
Wow.
just keep going up. A lot of that has to do with the magnesium and polymer and stuff that's just going crazy price wise.
And Jim keeps a close eye. He's always talking to his counterparts about, well, if you do a little bit of this and you add a little bit of this, you can cut, he's on top of it.
He does a great job. I think that's it for, so 407. There's a bit of an increase to professional services sampling and testing. We're gonna now be required to test spiked and ditch for coliform
Oh.
4 times a year per our NPDS permit. So that's an increased cost.
From what, septic systems?
And horses and
Yeah, cattle.
cattle and all those things.
Dogs and cats.
And then under 407 repairs and maintenance. And you see repairs and maintenance, and then you see vehicles and repairs and maintenance,
Mhm.
25 and 26, those numbers should be flip-flopped. So the 43.5 should be under the repair and maintenance, and the 8,000 should be under just the vehicle repairs. And that 43.5 is the street sweeping
Mm.
service that we're paying for.
So we have repairs and maintenance down below here too, that is that just not supposed to be done? 24 budgeted
That's
1,000.
48 versus 49.
Well, there's 48 here and there's
48
48 up
here.
here. One's a 30 and one's a 48. Is that the admin?
Yeah, that's the one that
30
we.
is the admin.
Yeah.
So
And that's why it's
we
zero.
zeroed it out.
We did zero it out.
Okay, so that's just,
We
Yeah.
had some redundant bars codes that we tried to clean up this year and looks like that.
I like that amount better, but.
Zero.
Okay, I think that's it.
Any questions for the director? Thank you very much, sir. Moving on to the next thing shall be comp plan discussion. City Administrator, please.
Really, this is just an effort to get this document in front of you as soon as possible, now that we have more of a finalized draft and after getting some of the feedback from the public hearing. I can tell you that it's still definitely a living document. Just this morning, we had a meeting with the school district. We have a meeting scheduled with PSE. We're still talking to property owners and making fine-tune adjustments to the future land use map. But a lot of the goals and policies won't be subject to change from staff's side. So we will be waiting for feedback from all of you if you would like to see any changes. If you have any of that feedback already, I know that this was sent via email late last week, and so I'm guessing you haven't had a chance to review almost 200 pages of it, or you have, and I would love that feedback now. And we will start to incorporate those changes, and then we will definitely be looking at this over the next couple of meetings. Our mandate is to have this adopted by the end of the year. We can do comp plan amendments annually. And so if we adopt something that you don't love, we can change it next year, and we will probably have to make some changes next year as we update our zoning code and our zoning map amendments for consistency in the future land use map. So that's all to say that this document it doesn't have to exist for 10 years like it has in the past. We can go in and make fine-tune adjustments, but we wanted to share the ultimate findings and initial feedback that we received from the comp plan public hearing, as well as just outline some of those upcoming zoning amendments that you can anticipate over the biennium. You can see it's a long list, and this was one of the things that some of the public comments requested. And so we wanted to give them a resource to be able to look at that as well. So open to any discussion now, or you will see this again at your next meeting.
Thank you for sending this out, and I would like to compliment one of my colleagues, Councilmember Burbank, who, there are people that squawk online about things. And her response, being responsible, is where does it say that in the comp plan? And all to say, she's pointing them to the comp plan. And when this we're required to do it, I'm heartened to hear that we can change it annually. I love the fact that through the public hearing, there's comments from the community
Quite a few.
that we can all consider. And like you said, if we don't love it, we have to do it. But then we can update it annually. I think that is outstanding. I mean, it's a lot of work to get to that point. And, you know, it is what it is. We're going to comply with what the city has to comply with. Questions or comments on that? Councilmember Bender.
She's muted, give her just a second.
I don't see anything in my packet on the, what you just discussed on the comp plan amendment.
It was in the city administrator update email. It wasn't in the packets.
Okay, I just haven't seen that yet. All right.
Yeah,
thank-
those of us here got a printed copy, but it all came to us,
Tonight.
yes, within the last week on an email.
No, I haven't seen that email either. I'll call Courtney and get it squared away. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing else? So we'll move to council comments on anything that we talked about tonight or anything else. Well, I'll just say that coming westbound on Main Street this afternoon, I was pleasantly pleased to see 3 trusses up on the City Hall remodel. And I parked right there tonight in front of the Walker House. And I counted the boards on those trusses. They're 7 boards thick on those trusses.
Yeah, they're just stacked together. They'll
They're stacked.
they'll blow them apart.
Yes,
As they,
but it's nice to see that.
they're all up there.
That tells you we're moving in the right direction. Anything else, folks?
Did you get any feedback from the email that you sent about the Buckley City
Only
Hall?
from you.
Oh,
so-
okay.
City Hall?
Yeah.
Or Buckley Hall?
Buckley.
Buckley Hall, sorry.
Buckley.
No, so if anyone
Okay.
else has feedback tonight, or check your email.
Did anybody see the email on the Buckley Hall situation?
I saw.
I didn't see it off, I'll check.
Yeah,
Just
and
send me
I've got
feedback
some
and we can
thoughts,
certainly
but
discuss at a future meeting too, but
yeah,
Okay.
digest it and
sooner rather than later.
yes.
Great.
And am I correct to say that Roots Northwest is on 410 on the north side before you get to 234th.
Yes, it's the market. Yeah, that Good Roots Northwest.
Yes.
Used to be the market, formerly the Buckley or Bonnie Lake Food Bank.
Yes,
The Bonnie
yes.
Lake Food Bank. Yes,
So
they have
that's
three
the group
rebrands.
we're talking about.
Well, they did originally approach the city, and then on Tuesday, we were all gearing up for the meeting. We had a new map to show them of potential options. They told us that they were not looking to meet this Thursday any longer because they now have a different grant that they've applied for, and they're waiting to see the outcome of, and said that they might reach out in the next couple of months. So as far as we're concerned, again, this is entirely conceptual, and they don't have a proposed site, proposed location in the city of Buckley. I believe that they may be looking outside of the city of Buckley related to this grant that they're waiting to hear back on. So
One
those two
last-
items are
Yes.
connected, but not.
One last thing I had, and we should all know this because people are asking. Does the city have any idea when McDonald's is going to
Oh,
open?
God.
It should
That
be
was
next week.
October. Next week?
Next week.
You get my Diet Coke.
Yeah.
On that topic, is it, I don't know the proper protocol to ask them to change their sign. It is not, welcome to the city of Buckley at McDonald's.
The
Welcome to
our
Buckley
gateway
maybe,
form,
but not
or-
the city
yeah,
of
our
Buckley.
gateway sign. Yes.
However, we can do that.
I know,
Welcome to
I
Buckley.
need
I'm
to
sure
pull-
somebody didn't.
I've been meaning to pull their design review to see exactly what was approved ever since that was installed, and I haven't done it. So we just need to pull the file. I would have a hard time believing that we supported that, but anything's possible.
I-
And so I need to look at the plans, and if that's not what the plans say, and there was one of our staff members, I think it was Director Snodgrass, who mentioned that the way that it's laid into the concrete, we're hoping that maybe it's going to be replaced with something that can change out. Or like a digital reader board. You think that's how it's gonna stay forever? So I was kind of putting a pin in it for another week to see if it was, if they ended up changing it, because twofold. Did we approve it that way? I'll let you know if we did. And if not, then we can go back to whatever the approved design review is and ask them to modify it to be what
Is
we
it
approved.
backlit? We don't know yet if it's gonna be backlit. If it's concrete, is it? I haven't looked
It
at it
should
that
all be in
close.
the
I just
specs
look
of
at the
that
wording.
design
and like,
review. I just haven't pulled the file. So we'll do that this week, and
I mean, just
I'll put it in my update if there's. Yeah,
People
what the
think that's
outcome
City
is.
Hall soon. I mean, it's.
It did. It was several years ago that it went through design review,
Yeah.
so.
So I have just a question about the community newsletter.
Mhm.
In there, it said something about there was going to be information on Dr. Tate Memorial and the trailhead. Is there going to be pictures of the new bridge? the new
Yes,
walking
that's gonna be
bridge
the
too?
cover.
Okay.
So we'll have the new bridge will be the cover, and we'll have a little write-up of that in there too.
Perfect. All right. That's all I had.
Yeah.
For the community newsletter.
Perfect.
This one for him?
Oh, the one at Jefferson.
Yes. Side conversation. Talking about the bridge, that's another thing that came up on reviewing social media in the last week or so about the gravel lot to the west side of the trail, down below the river, down below the bridge along the river, that was used for, the dedication.
Yes.
And I think that was just, there's no way to park anything there. I mean, people are asking for a picnic spot or whatnot, and I don't know what that is designated for.
It's in the pros plan as a potential park, future park, but right now the priority remains on Miller Park. And then we have the dog park coming in, and then I do think once those are completed, we'll start looking at options for that area. There's always a possibility that some new grants or opportunities pop up that may cause us to shift that, especially because it's waterfront property. But right now, we have no plans, no design for what that might turn into. But we do have it outlined for future park space.
Is it open to the public now? Like people just go hang
It
out?
is, there are fences, and we will be installing some additional signage that says Swift Water, caution Swift Water. I think our insurance gave us the exact language. And then also to protect the wetland where there's the fencing. So
Yeah.
we had worked with King County before the official opening to have them install some additional fencing. We have one fence that we're gonna be working with either Pierce County or installing ourselves at the very end of River. And then we will be putting in some additional signs.
Cause it could be a cool place, like even before we formalize like a park, just like some picnic tables or something set up there for people to hang out before they go to the bridge. Be kind of cool spot.
With the donation policy, the parks donation policy that we approved, I believe we approved it via resolution. I know the Citizens Advisory Commission is through it. I can't recall if council has seen it yet. If not, you will soon. Once we formalize that and have some adopted fees put into our fee schedule starting next year, we'll be able to have more opportunities for the community to provide funding for some of those and potentially dedicate a bench or
Okay.
a picnic table. Right now, we don't have any funding sources identified.
Sure.
And so that would just be a budget adjustment that we could make now, if you were wanting to adjust your priorities, now's the time to do it. Or something that we could do in the mid-biennium or based off of donations that come in
Mhm.
after we approve those policies.
I know there was quite a bit of chatter at the opening about a possible, just something to chew on, a small, I assume fairly small amphitheater or something there with the bridge in the background. I
These are
mean,
big dreams.
it could be,
Ambitious.
yeah.
Yeah, they're anything small. I think that I won't throw a number out there, but I was really surprised at how expensive even just the picnic shelter at Miller Park was slated to be. Do you recall what that cost would be? It was a lot. And so I think the cost of constructing things, though we do have opportunities with park spaces to have public-private partnerships that we don't have for other types of
I think
facilities like City Hall. So there is a possibility that we have some donors that want to come in and we will probably do some capital projects for some of these projects, including Miller Park, where we invite community donors, because oftentimes people are looking for places to be able to make those types of donations that'll be long lasting and
Yeah.
commemorative. So we'll be giving that opportunity to folks.
I know a bunch of the chamber members were like, oh, that'd be spectacular to have something there, a focal point.
Like the Dock Tape Pavilion, if the chamber wants to sponsor an amphitheater down there. I think that we can definitely bring an MOU for it down.
Anything else? Comments, council, comments?
Nope.
I know we have a regular council meeting next Tuesday at 6 p.m. So given that, it is 7:17 p.m. on the 15th of October. The year of 2024, this concludes the Buckley City Council special study session.
Chris.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.